Warm welcome to Excellency, Special Presidential Envoy for Climate, Mr. John F. Kerry, Honorable Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Shri Bhupendra Yadav, Ms. Patricia Lesina, Charge d'Affaires, New Delhi, Shri R.P. Gupta, Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and members of the delegation from both the governments. We now have a launch event of climate action. We now have a launch event of Climate Action and Finance Mobilization Dialogue under the India-US Climate and Clean Energy Agenda 2030 Partnership. The launch of Climate Action and Finance Mobilization Dialogue today will further strengthen the Indo-US climate relationship, which will drive climate change actions and financing across both countries.
Climate Action and Finance Mobilization Dialogue. As we all know, climate change is one of the biggest global challenges of the country. It is multidimensional, visible, goes beyond national borders, and so it requires a global response. India is committed at the highest level of combat climate change and also for meeting its commitment made to the international community under the convention and its Paris Climate Change Agreement. The government is addressing challenge posed by climate change through its several key initiatives. We are working proactively in promoting low carbon and sustainable lifestyle, and our action translates into India's multiple policies and programs aimed at synchronizing development and climate change action at national, state, and local levels. The India economy is becoming greener through these conscious actions, and there are efforts to enhance energy efficiency across the economy, increase the share of renewable energy in the national mix, and enhance forest and tree cover, while simultaneously meeting India's development challenge in a sustainable manner. India's climate action are rated high in many independent assessments. India has achieved reduction of 24% in emission intensity of its GDP between 2005 and 2016, thereby achieving its pre-2020 voluntary target. India's NDC has been rated as 2 degrees Celsius compatible. India's Honorable Prime Minister has further announced the aspirational target of renewable energy capacity of 450 gigawatt by 2030.
It's a great pleasure for me to be back in India, and I want to thank Minister Yadav for hosting this exciting event for the launch of the U.S.-India Climate Action and Finance Mobilization Dialogue. When I visited India last April, before we held the summit in Washington, before President Biden's summit, I was very pleased to be able to meet with and work with Prime Minister Modi to develop the U.S.-India 2030 partnership, which Prime Minister and President Biden then announced at the summit. The Agenda 2030 partnership established a climate and clean energy agenda as a core pillar of the U.S.-India relationship. And the CAF-MD, as we refer to it in short, is one of the 2 main tracks of the Agenda 2030 partnership that was created at the summit. The other part of that is the Strategic Energy Partnership, which my colleague and friend, Jennifer Granholm, the Secretary of Energy, will conduct as we conduct ours. So there are 2 pillars here. Today, the Energy Department is represented by the Deputy Secretary, David Turk, who is here in the front row. This launch comes at a truly critical juncture with respect to the challenge of climate crisis. The IPCC report, most recently, built on the report of 2018 when they warned all of us. The best scientists in the world said to us, including scientists in India, that the world has 12 years within which to make the most important decisions to avoid the worst consequences of the climate crisis. Regrettably, we had a president who pulled out of that agreement for a period of years, but nevertheless, governors and cities in the United States continued the effort of the United States to live up to the Paris Agreement. So today's launch comes at a time when the most recent IPCC report makes it clear that the world is not yet getting the job done. That we are on a track to reach dangerous levels of warming on the planet, and we have all seen the evidence of that over the course of this last year. Fires, drought, mudslides, floods, record levels of rain. Just the other day, here in Delhi, there was a remarkable rainfall. This is happening now all the time. Floods that were predicted to only occur every 500 years, occurring every 5 or 10 years. And every one of us understands the basics of the science. To keep 1.5 degrees warming limit in reach and avoid even more catastrophic consequences of this crisis, we must take action now. We have to take action on short-term global emission reductions because that's the way we're going to actually meet the challenge of the climate crisis. And we have to reach a net zero global standard by 2050. Is that something that President Biden is saying, or I'm saying? No. That's a matter not of politics, not of ideology. It is a matter of arithmetic and physics. It is what is happening because of the blanket of greenhouse gases that are warming the planet and warming the seas, the oceans, at a record rate where 90% of the heat goes, and also transforming the chemistry of the oceans more than it has been changed in millions of years. So my friends, President Biden has set out a very ambitious domestic plan to address this crisis, and we have begun implementing that agenda from investing major new sums of money, public money, in infrastructure, to the launching of research and development programs that will set new standards for buildings, new standards for vehicles, and begin this transformation. No country can do this alone. And the world can't do it if everybody doesn't sign up to be part of the solution. That is why we are working to rally the world to address this massive challenge and to raise global ambition in the lead up to the meeting in Glasgow of all of the countries of the world that come together under this thing called the COP26, Conference of the Parties number 26. A powerful avenue for U.S.-India collaboration. There will be 3 pillars to this, 3 pieces. One, first, through the climate action pillar, we will develop proposals together that could contribute to curbing emissions during this critical decade all across the economy, our economies. In the power sector, this means a roadmap to achieve the 450 gigawatt renewable energy target and across transportation, buildings, and industry. It means charting pathways for a clean transition. Second, through the finance mobilization pillar, we will collaborate on attracting capital and enhancing the enabling environment to deploy 450 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity and demonstrate and scale innovative clean energy technologies and promote bilateral clean energy investment and trade. I will just say parenthetically, over the last months in the United States, the 6 largest banks in America have all of them publicly committed that over the next 10 years, they will invest a minimum of $4.16 trillion in this effort to make this transition happen. And I am confident that with other banks around the world, other financial institutions, with asset managers and investment funds, that it's going to be much more than the 4.16 trillion. So I'm very, very pleased that today we have such robust participation from across the Indian government in this launch of the Climate Action Finance Mobilization Dialogue. One of the things I left out, in addition to the three parts, the third is adaptation and resilience. And we're going to collaborate to build the capacity to measure and manage climate risks in those other sectors of the economy. We're also going to be active on the protection of forests, which is a major responsibility of Minister Yadav. So, my friends, the reality is that Prime Minister Modi has been a tremendous leader in this, and we look forward to his visit to the United States in a few days, when we'll have an opportunity to be able to discuss this further. There's never been a better time to invest in the energy transition. Renewable energy is cheaper than ever. In fact, it is cheaper to build a solar farm in India than anywhere else on the planet. And investors are now flocking to clean energy all around the world. And the transition, the energy transition, is already rebounding after the worst of the pandemic, and it is.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Special Presidential Envoy for Climate. With these concluding remarks, we declare the formal launch of the Climate Action and Finance Mobilization Dialogue. I thank all the respected